And I think at the start of the conversation, you hinted about a further. I mean, clearly you're opening the third data center, so we mustn't rush too far ahead. But you presumably have further expansion plans. I think you mentioned about possibly even overseas as well. Can you perhaps share a little bit of insight as to what you might be doing in the future?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. In order to be able to facilitate the growth we're currently experience, we've been working hard to identify new locations for further expansions. We have 3 locations at the moment, but two of those have not limitations, but we need new locations to be able to grow for the coming decades. And the criteria we have when looking at an area is that it has to have a huge surplus of power, and it should be close to an existing connectivity hubs, also close to major cities where you have a competent workforce. You need an international airport, and so on. Those are requirements that we see our customers are demanding. We have identified 3 new sites. This work that we've done has brought up 3 new sites. They are all close to Stavanger, and the overall power availability on those 3 sites is about 1,000 megawatts. And there are few space limitations, meaning that we and other companies within the same business could utilize those sites and grow further. In addition to that, we can still grow at our existing sites in Rjukan and Oslo. The site in Stavanger inside the mountain is a little bit more difficult to grow in because we're a fully operating data center, and by expanding with new mountain holes, then we have to do blasting, and that's not a good combination with existing data center activity. And as well, we are also looking at alternatives in some of the other Nordic countries. No decision has been taken, but it's on the agenda. So at the moment, we're in Norway and have plans to expand quite heavily in Norway, but the Nordics are also something that we're looking at. When looking at sites for expansion, we strive to find innovative and sustainable solution. Reuse of waste heat is a focus that we're already involved in, and we have project exploring opportunities where we are looking at type of industries like vertical farming, biogas plant, and onshore fish farming. On one of the 3 new sites, we're working close with the local grid company that has an infrastructure for reuse of heat, and that will be a base of the infrastructure on that side, meaning that we're not only, by operating in that side, you're not only carbon neutral with the power being produced 100% with hydro, but you're also carbon negative when you're able to reuse the heat that's being generated from the servers.
Okay, I was going to ask, obviously, I mean, I think the Nordics have a justified reputation for the providing the perfect environment for a data center. You already alluded to the temperature of the fjord and the hydro, etc. Are you able to just sort of summarize, I guess, the sort of opportunities there in terms of sustainability, and that maybe give us some idea of the PUEs you're able to achieve, and any other sort of environmental aspects that you haven't touched on?
Yes, I could definitely do that. We see sustainable sustainability is being more and more on the agenda. A competitor of us are doing an annual CXO survey. And if you see the change from 2018 to 2019, sustainability moved from 19th place to 3rd place. So sustainability is more or less on the decision criteria when deciding where to put your data center. If you look at the Europe and Nordic in particular, there is one country that has power production which are 100% sustainable. And the power production is being done close to where the power is used. That's Norway. In addition, Norway is, as we said, a cold and wet country, meaning that you're really efficient in the way you're cooling your data center. The PUEs that we are currently achieving is that on our data center, we have an average PUE of 1.15, meaning that some clients are down to 1.1 and some are up to 1.2, all depending on what you have in your data center, the average rack capacity, and so on. If you look at the annual data center survey from Uptime Institute, the average PUE in the data center market for large data center is currently at 1.59, meaning that you're able to be 40% more efficient when operating out of Norway. And the growth we have at the moment is being fed by that companies are seeing that they are able to move to Norway, be sustainable, and as well have a reduced cost.
And in terms of those customers, I'm guessing clearly they're happy to come into an efficient facility, but do you also work alongside them to help them optimize the performance of the infrastructure that they will be the servers, the storage, whatever they will be putting inside the data center?
Yes, that is correct. Energy efficiency is also dependent on factors that the clients themselves control within the data rooms. As we are monitoring each data room individually, we are able to discover if a client has room for improvement. We know all customers' PUE, and we are able to advise them if we see that they have room for improvements. It could be anything from adding blind panels, sealing off air leakage between the hot and the cold air. It could be temperature adjustment and rack placement. It could be that they have some racks with an over capacity, so a little bit of balancing out the racks. And by summarizing a little bit of that, over the last couple of years, there's been a high focus on improving the efficiency in the data center, only the data center, and that has improved. The focus on PUE has been really, really high. And as well, I've had a lot of discussions with Uptime Institute on this as well. We mean that the focus on improving the efficiency on the IT equipment has been forgotten, and that there are definitely room for improvement in that area. And we see from the work we've done with some of those customers is that they've had huge improvements on efficiency, and that as well leads to a more sustainable operation and as well a reduced cost. What we also done in the way we're operating the data center is to try to use some of the technology that's been developed from the oil industry. When you're operating an oil rig, it's expensive to have people out in the North Sea operating the facilities. So if you're able to with the use of sensors and a good operating system, or what we say in our business, DCIM system, data center infrastructure management system, you are able to operate that data center or oil rig from an other location or from a centralized operating center. So we've used those, let's say, companies with huge or long experience from the oil industry to help us develop a DCIM system that are fit to operating a data center. We're using thousands of sensors and together with the DCIM system, we have as well developed a monitoring system where we're presenting real-time data to our customers. So every customer has a web page where they're able to log on and look at their PUE, their temperatures, rack temperatures, their power consumption down to a rack level. You could also do reports on your carbon footprint. The reason for us to include carbon footprint as well is that we are running emergency generators. If there is or should be a power outage, we have to be able to produce the power ourselves. So our carbon footprint reports are mainly reporting the amount of hours during a year where we're running our generators and the amount of carbon we're consuming with using diesel for that. These data are presented in a dashboard solution and gives our customers a really good control over their own infrastructure. This solution is innovative, and we received several awards for this solution.